What is UX? Seriously, man. Well, I'm glad you asked. UX is short for user experience. User experience design is a process in which UX specialists like myself work on IT projects collaboratively with the users, the business stakeholders, and the development team to help create a functional design for a project that keeps the needs of the users in focus at all times. The goal is a final product that is intuitive and pleasant to use, and which is valuable to the users and to the business. Aren't UX and UI the same thing? This is a very common confusion. UX and UI are in fact different things, kind of like sales and marketing. They work together, but aren't actually the same thing. A UX specialist typically does not do the visual or graphic design for a project. We focus on functionality, content, and how the product works. We perform research and usability testing, discovery and analysis of data and user feedback. We collaborate with users, stakeholders to understand service hierarchies, discuss navigation terminology, and sketch out screen components and options. We create a brief that the UI designer uses to create the visual design. A UI designer focuses on how the product looks. They use the brief and wireframes from the UX specialist, as well as branding guidelines from the marketing department to design an appealing visual interface for a product. Sometimes a UX specialist can do some UI design, and sometimes a UI designer can do a bit of UX, but they are, in fact, different roles and skill sets. Why do we need UX? Because users don't always want to use things the way you thought they would. There are a number of benefits to involving UX in your IT project. Early buy-in. Collaboration with stakeholders and users means you end up with a pre-tested product that has had user involvement at pretty much every step. This results in early buy-in, less pushback, even a sense of ownership among users. Clearer build requirements. Because the users have actually generated the functionality you needed, you eliminate guesswork and get a clearer view of the build requirements. You understand what you're building and, just as importantly, why. Easier changeover. Engaging users early, involving them in the design, and getting their feedback throughout the development process means your users already know what has been built and why it was built that way. This results in easier changeovers, superior adoption rates, less training, and less change management required. You should also see a reduction in support tickets and service desk inquiries during and following the changeover period. Fewer surprises. I personally hate surprises, especially when they could mean problems for a project. UX design can save a lot of stress, time, and effort by eliminating a lot of surprises. By collaborating with users to create the product design, you don't waste time building the wrong thing, which eliminates surprises for your team. Users are involved, included, and informed every step of the way, which eliminates surprises for them. So what I wanted to do here was pull up some basic UX principles that I thought would be empowering to the team and relevant to just about any of your roles. I'll just elaborate on them a little bit for you. Involving users. This one is huge. Identify and involve user groups throughout your project. Keep their needs at the forefront of the project. Testing with users throughout development gives you data, which is an excellent way to mitigate egos and opinions of overzealous stakeholders. Empathy. Try to see the project through a user's eyes. Pretend you don't know anything about your project. Think about what everyone really needs from the perspectives of different user types. Think about the purpose of each element of the views. Do the words make sense? Can you find things? What needs to happen next? What are the most common tasks? Terminology. Even in an out-of-the-box implementation, you still need to thoroughly discuss this. Communication is critical to everything in your project. Don't assume everyone is speaking the same language. Talk about words and test it with users. Be consistent. Don't make people have to think. When you're working with navigation patterns, terminology, page layouts, and visual cues, you need to be consistent. Consistency will make it easier for users to learn how to use their new tool. Question everything. Make people explain the needs behind what is to be built. This discussion will improve your understanding, and it will also make the client think it through themselves, and frequently it will uncover an issue or reveal a solution. See the future. Our clients rely on our experience with their projects. Try to see not only their current needs, but also try to foresee their future needs. Progressive disclosure. This is a little bit of UI advice, and it means to only show what a user needs to see on any given screen. Avoid clutter. It can overwhelm users and make navigation confusing. Only add something like images or graphic elements if there is a clear need for it. Bad UI can ruin good UX. Usability surveys. This is something I always suggest doing before a project starts. It does several things. For one thing, it gives you a usability metric that you can measure against and which should improve at the end of your project. It gives the users a voice and shows them that you are including them. And it clarifies where you need to focus your usability attention. Rather than trying to work from general statements from users like, "Our portal sucks," a well-crafted usability survey will allow you to better define the sources of suction, and then you can know where to focus on designing and reducing solutions. So there you go. Now you're all UX experts. Get out there and UX some stuff. If you'd like some help with a pitch, a project, or an app, please contact me. I love talking about UX, and I'm always happy to help.